This is Jarrod Horak. Welcome to my latest Road to the 2023 Kentucky Derby video. And in this video, I'm going to do analysis of the Louisiana Derby at Fairgrounds, Saturday, March 25th, 2023. Now, if you're interested in my annual Kentucky Derby, Preakness, and Belmont Stakes Day full cards, you'll find those later this spring at the runawayhorse.com on my sales page, along with some other Triple Crown Series products. So go over to my sales page. I have details of the products that I'm going to be covering this year, and you can purchase those later this spring if you're interested. And don't forget to like, subscribe, and comment if you like these Kentucky Derby and Kentucky Oaks points race videos. I've covered all of them, and I'll continue to cover them. I have a lot of videos this week. We have a busy week on the road to the Derby and Oaks, and that's the same story for next week and the week after that as well as we get closer to the Kentucky Derby. And now we'll get into the analysis of this video. 12th race at Fairgrounds, Grade 2, $1 million Louisiana Derby, 3-year-olds, 1 mile and 3/16 on the main track. Scheduled post time, 6:42 p.m. Eastern Time. And number 1 is Shopper's Revenge for trainer Steve Asmussen. This is a son of Tapit, and he's only run 3 times, and he's run okay each time. He broke 11th in a 12-horse field in his career debut, and he rallied to finish second, beaten 7 lengths. So that winner ran away with that one determinedly, and Shopper's Revenge was up for second, and he just did edge Sun Thunder for that spot, and that horse is in this race as well. In his second start, he added Lasix. He stretched out Oakland Park, mile and a 16th. Much better break. He wired the field, and he won easily that day. And then in his last start, he was back to breaking slow again as the 3-2 favorite. He was off slow and 11 lengths back, and he got to within a half a length of the lead. And then he couldn't go by, and he ended up finishing second, beaten 1 3/4. He was 6 lengths clear of the show finisher. Third start after a layoff. He does lose Lasix in this spot, but I like the fact that he had a bullet workout from the gate at Fairgrounds on March 20th. So they want him to break well in here, and I think he can at least get forward if he does, at least saving ground, stalking the pace. I think that's the key to his success. If he can get that kind of trip, maybe he can do something in here. Instant Coffee is your 2-1 morning line favorite. He's number 2 for trainer Brad Cox. This is a $200,000 son of Bold Doro. Uncle Mo is the dam sire. Good pedigree with this one, and I've always liked him, and he's run well in all of his races. His first career start at Saratoga at 7 furlongs, he rallied from off the pace, won by 3/4 of a length. They stretched him out in distance in the Grade 1 Breeders' Futurity. In that race, he was rallying from off the pace, trying to get involved, but no one could get close to your winner, Forte, who won by a neck, and Loggins was second, and that was more than 6 lengths back to the show finisher, Red Route 1. And that one finished just ahead in front of Instant Coffee, who was 4th that day. And then in his next start in the Kentucky Jockey Club Stakes, post 8 in a 9-horse field, he was just hung out wide. It was a slow pace, but he was able to prevail anyway. He was much the best there. All that ground that he covered and that slow pace, and he rallied into those slow fractions, and he won by 1 1/4 as the favorite. Curly Jack was second there. And then in the Grade 3 Lecomte last time, he got much more pace help, and he went last to first. He won easily by more than 2 lengths. Two Fills was second, and then Confidence Game came back and won a stakes race in his next start, finished 3rd that day. So now Instant Coffee is going to go from 1 mile and 16th to 1 mile and 3/16, and he's been freshened for this. He did not run in the Risen Star Stakes. They decided to skip that one and have a fresher horse for the Triple Crown Series, and this horse is going to put in a good late run. I'm almost sure of it. He's probably not going to offer a bundle of value, but Luis Saez rides him back, and he was aboard for both of those wins in the Kentucky Jockey Club and Lecomte, and I wouldn't be surprised if he rallied for the win again. Curly Jack is number 3, and he's 12-1 morning line. This one's a son of Good Magic, and he's been in a bunch of stakes races. After breaking his career debut, going wire to wire at 5.5 furlongs, he dueled and weakened to finish 5th in the Grade 3 Sanford. In the Juvenile Stakes at Ellis Park, he was second, beaten ahead. In the Grade 3 Iroquois, the first Kentucky Derby points race last September, he rallied for the win at 10-1 odds. And then in the Breeders' Cup Juvenile, he was 5th, beaten 12 lengths after stalking the pace from an outer post. The Kentucky Jockey Club Stakes, he was stalking slow fractions, and he was second behind Instant Coffee. And then in the Risen Star Stakes last time, he was 8th, beaten 10 lengths, not his best effort there. I think they're going to try to be forward with this one. There's not a ton of early speed in here, and I think his jockey, Edgar Morales, who knows him well, Tom Amos is probably going to give him instructions to get him involved in this early going and at least stalking the pace, if not trying to outright set the pace. But I think more likely he would end up stalking the pace in here. Sun Thunder is next. He's 5-1 morning line for trainer Kenny McPeak. This son of Into Mischief cost $400,000, and he was a well-beaten third in his debut. I mentioned that race. Shopper's Revenge finished a neck in front of him, and he did rally from 11th that day. Not a bad effort. Stretched out. Good track second time out at Oaklawn at 1 mile, around 2 turns. Rallied from 8th to win going away by more than 6 lengths. The Southwest Stakes in the slop. He was 4th. Arabian Night dominated that one. Red Route 1 was 2nd. And this one just couldn't quite get involved, but he ended up splitting the field. Not a terrible effort in the slop. Fast Track last time, Risen Star Stakes, got some pace help, rallied from 12th, 10 lengths back, ended up finishing 2nd by a length. He did have the lead in the stretch at 16-1, could not hold off Angel of Empire, but he did run 2nd. So he's going to need pace help, and I'm not sure he's going to get it in here. Disarm is next for trainer Steve Esmelson. This is a son of Gunrunner, and Joao Rosario will ride. In his career debut, he finished 3rd. That was 5.5 furlongs. He liked the 7 furlong distance much better at Saratoga second time out when he won by 6 lengths. And then in his 3rd start, optional claiming race, a 2-turn, 1 mile race at Oaklawn Park on February 19th. He stalked Slow Fractions, adding Lasix, and he was 2nd, beaten 4 lengths, and he was well clear of the show finisher. So he still has upside, but he's going to have to really step up his game in here, facing Stakes Company for the first time. Kingsbarns is next for trainer Todd Pletcher. This is an $800,000 son of Uncle Mo, and Tapit is the dam sire, and he's 2 for 2. He won his career debut at Gulfstream Park at 1 mile on January 14th. That was a 1-turn mile. He stalked the pace. He led. He won by a length and 3/4. Very professional effort. His 2nd career start, optional claiming race at 1 mile and 40 yards. Tampa Bay Downs, February 12th. Now, Luis Saez rode him in his debut, and Antonio Gallardo rode him 2nd time out. He was the 3-1 favorite in his debut. He was the 1-2 favorite in his 2nd start, and he really won 2nd time out very easily, stalking, taking the lead, pulling clear, winning by almost 8 lengths. He was geared down. He was much the best. He dominated that event. Based on his pedigree and his purchase price and his record on the track, obviously, and his connections, there's a lot of upside here. Flavien Prat will ride this time, and he'll probably stalk the pace. I don't know that the extra distance is going to do him give him any troubles, and I think he can set a good trip, and I wouldn't be surprised if he finished somewhere in the top 3. Cagliostro is number 7, and he's 12-1 morning line, and they paid $385,000 for this son of Upstart. He was 6th in a 9-horse field, racing wide in his career debut. His 2nd career start stretched him out to 1 mile and a 16th after that 7 furlong debut, and he won from off the pace by more than 3 lengths in his last start, optional claiming race. Denington defeated him by a neck. Those two ran a decent race, and they're both in here, and now we're going to find out how good that allowance race was that day, because they're both stepping up into the stakes ranks, and this one's making his 3rd start after a layoff, and he does lose Lasix in this spot, and his trainer doesn't have great stats, at least on the win end in graded stakes races. Single Ruler is next, and this is number 8 at 15-1. This son of Empire Maker for trainer Keith DeSormo has run 6 times with a win and a 3rd. He got his 3rd place finish in his 3rd career start when he stretched out after 2 sprints, chasing the pace and finishing 3rd. And then he was 5th, beaten 16 lengths. They put blinkers on, and that did the trick in his maiden win on January 21st at 1 mile and a 16th at Fairgrounds, rallying from 7th to win by almost 3 lengths. And in his last start, the Risen Star Stakes, I didn't think he performed poorly there. He was 42-1. He did lose Lasix, but he still had his blinkers. And in that 14-horse field, he rallied mildly. He was 5th, beaten 5 lengths. He did get pace help, and now he's going to run a longer race here. And I don't think he's going to get as much pace help as he did in the Risen Star. And overall, a minor award's probably his limit. Tapit Conquest was my top choice in the Risen Star last time, and he finished an even 4th. Now let's backtrack and look at his earlier races. This one is a $350,000 2021 Keeneland September sales grad, and his sire is Tapit. And for trainer Brad Cox, Manny Franco rode in his debut, and he's going to ride today. 7 furlong debut at Saratoga. He was 2nd, beaten a half length, rallying from off the pace, stretched out 2nd time out from post 10. He chased, he led, he won easily by 3 lengths as the favorite. He added Lasix in an optional claiming race on January 21st at Fairgrounds. Determinedly beat him by a neck, but he controlled the pace. That pace was slow. Tapit Conquest rallied from last in a 5-horse field to just miss by a neck. quality effort there. And then in the Risen Star last time, wide trip. He was rallying wide. He was really making a menacing look at it in the stretch. He was right there with the top horses, but he just couldn't go with them late. He was fourth by a length and a half in mid-stretch, and then he was fourth beaten 3.25 lengths when all was said and done. Florian Drew rode him in his last 3 starts. As I mentioned, Manny Franco, who rode in the debut, is back aboard here. I think they would probably want to have some kind of stalking trip in this spot. Denington is next. I mentioned him with that when I mentioned Cagliostro, and he defeated that one by a neck last time out. The problem with him is his stakes races. He just hasn't done enough to be considered a solid threat in the stakes ranks. The Grade 3 Lecomte, Instant Coffee won that one. He was 4th, beaten 10 lengths. The Smarty Jones Stakes, he was 3rd, beaten 6 lengths. The Kentucky Jockey Club Stakes, Instant Coffee and Curly Jack beat him there. He was 5th, a length and a half. So if he can step up his game, getting back into the stakes ranks, he could contend. But that's exactly what he has to do. And he does lose Lasix in this spot. Jace's Road is very good on a fast track for trainer Brad Cox. So if he can catch a fast track, he could be dangerous, especially if he can get out there and set the pace. They paid $510,000 for this Son of Quality Road. And in his career debut, he pressed from post 9 and 11 horse field, took the lead, drew off, won by more than 6 lengths. He was the favorite there. That was at Ellis Park last summer. The Grade 3 Iroquois Stakes, he was one that he was up on a fast pace that day. It did set up for some patient runners, but he ran a quality race. Considering that pace was quick, he hung in there. He was 3rd, beaten a length and a half. He was 4 lengths clear of the rest. Caught the slop in the Street Scent Stakes, and he hated that. He was stalking, and he finished 8th, beaten 36 lengths. In his next start in the Gun Runner Stakes, a Kentucky Derby points race at Fairgrounds in December, he got to the front, and he wired the field, and he won that one easily by more than 5 lengths over Raise Cane and Determinedly. And then in his last start, the Southwest Stakes, again, he caught the slop, made a middle move, weakened to finish 5th, beaten 12 lengths. So it just doesn't seem like he likes wet tracks. If you take that wet track form, you have a romping win in his debut, a close 3rd in the Iroquois, and then a romping win in the Gun Runner. And Florian Drew, who was aboard in that Gun Runner, he gets back aboard here. Joe Talamo rode last time. So I think that Brad Cox is probably going to tell Florian Drew, go to the lead in here from this outer post and try to wire the field, just like you did in the Gun Runner. Number 12, Baseline Beater. This one is a son of Flatter. They paid $130,000 for him, and he did wake up in his last couple starts. He's a big late runner. He came from 14 lengths back on January 21st in a maiden race to finish 2nd behind Single Ruler, and then last time he rallied from 10 lengths back to win going away by 3 lengths in a maiden special weight event on February 18th. Going to have to definitely step up his game in this spot. This is not an easy spot for your first start against winners. So Instant Coffee's the one to beat. I like him. I picked him in a couple of Derby points races in that Kentucky Jockey Club, and the Lecomte. He was my top choice, and I had the trifecta in those races as well. But I'm not going to pick him in here. I'm going to go with his stablemate, Jace's Road, to wire the field. I like this one. If he can catch a fast track and he can get out of the gate and set the pace, I think he can keep on going in this spot and maybe upset his stablemate, Instant Coffee. So I'm going to go with Jace's Road to go wire to wire in the Grade 2 Louisiana Derby, and Instant Coffee to rally to finish 2nd. Some other horses that I'll consider in this spot, I'll use the 6 Kingsbarns, the 9 Tapit Conquest, and then I'll round out my top contenders in here for the trifecta, and I'll throw in number 1, Shopper's Revenge, as well. And now the wagering strategies will be up on the screen, and I'll make a win wager on number 11, an exacta box 211, that's the Instant Coffee and Jace's Road. I'll put the 211 on top in the trifecta, Instant Coffee and Jace's Road, and then I'll add the 1, the 2, the 1, the 6, and the 9 underneath in 2nd and 3rd. So that trifecta is 211 with 1, 2, 6, 9, 11, 1, 2, 6, 9, 11. So don't forget to like, subscribe, and comment if you like this content. And again, stay tuned to my YouTube channel. This week I'm going to have a lot more Kentucky Derby and Kentucky Oaks points races on my YouTube channel in video format. And until I see you next time, good luck at the races.